Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to fracture an object. So begin by, leave the default cube and go in to your user preferences, add-ons, and find fracture. Enable it and we can begin. So you start with the default cube. Press space to pull up the search and type fracture, and then select the fracture object. Turn that up from 5 to 20 is a good number, and if you press Z you'll see nothing has happened yet. Press execute and our cube is instantly broken up into a bunch of little pieces. You can change this between spherical, rough, there we go. That's kind of crazy. Maybe too many shards for spherical, so I'm gonna lower this just for the sake of the tutorial. Hello. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, we have these little parts that will be breaking off of this cube. I like flat or flat rough. It just seems to work the best. So those are little parts of our cube. They look pretty good, and when it's before anything's happened, it's just a normal cube. So if we render that, it still looks like a normal cube. Anyway, so now select everything, hit the spacebar again, get rid of that, set up fracture shards. If we hit P, it will all fall apart. That's in the game player, and so we're getting closer. Drag that up, or drag the cube up and all of its little shards. They're all separate objects now, so make sure everything is selected and create a plane. This will be our floor. If we hit P again, all of the parts will fall onto that floor and sit there being broken. So that's getting better. And now create a rigid body recorder. You can either do this through the helper menu or the create object menu, or you can do rigid body recorder. If we hit P now, nothing happens, and also it records everything that's happened. So as we can see, because nothing happened in the gameplay, nothing will happen in our animation. Now create, under this fracture helper objects, create a projectile. And drag that up, maybe move it out on the X, and if we hit P, it goes off into wherever. If that happens to you, hit go into the logic editor and change the linear velocity from -15 to on the Y to -15 on the X, and if we hit P again or play, it will go the right direction. So back into the timeline. Now for it to record, you need to have everything selected, so it'll only record the objects you have selected, and it's just easiest to have everything selected. So there. Now if we play this in the animator, we can see it blasts it apart pretty well. Okay, so now we have a pretty good physics setup. Let's go ahead and change our projectile. So this UV sphere, this icosphere is pretty good if you want a cannonball or something like that, but I don't really want a cannonball. So for my render, I made it into a bullet. So if you go into edit mode, you can delete everything. If you want to create a bullet, you can start with a cylinder or a cone. Doesn't really matter. Let's start with a cylinder. Oh, also make sure your cursor is on the selected object. So create a cylinder, rotate it on the Y 90 degrees, scale it down, make it look more like a bullet. So drag that out a little bit, delete the end there, extrude that out. Let's see, kind of a bullet shell. And finally, where's that? Remove doubles. So there we've got our little bullet. Can set that to smooth shading, and because of the size of this object, it doesn't really matter how, or if we use the edge split modifier, it will look just fine without it, because it's so small that it doesn't need a whole lot of detail. So now we will position the camera and hit Alt-A, or not. Oops. Remember to play it all again. Okay. That looks a little bit crazy for that tiny bullet. If you get crazy things going on, just hit the player again. That didn't do what I wanted. Play with it until you get what you want. That looks okay. And things will jump around. Sometimes it'll also lock these keyframes. If that happens, just go into the animator and delete all the keyframes and replay it. And it will save all of them, and it will look like a crazy mess. At least in your dope sheets and everything. So, anyway, that's looking okay. If you want more of an effect on everything, play with the size of the projectile. So, of course, a bigger projectile is going to have or do more damage to the cube here. So, if we play that now, it shatters more of the cube. Because this piece right there didn't get hit by anything, it didn't move. So if you want to see parts get more damage done to them, just rotate the cube however you want it. So if we do that now, press play. Little parts are still floating though. So delete the keyframes and rotate the cube again. Okay, kind of leaves a debris field, which looks not too bad. So if we play that now, doesn't look too bad. There we go. Let it save that. And all the parts running out. Looks pretty good. Okay. So there is our exploding object. So we can now start working on this scene and making everything look good. So let's give this place walls. So it's pretty easy to do. Just drag up, or go into edit mode, select the two back vertices and hit E to extrude, and pull it up. There we go. Also, you're going to want to make sure that the edges of the wall are out of the camera. That way we don't get a crazy looking corner. And let's put this cube on a pedestal. So put our cursor back onto the center and hit Shift A and create a cube or something. Go into edit mode, pull that up 1 unit, and pull out the side of our pedestal a little bit. We're going to want to pull this down so that it's level, or it's sitting flat on the floor. Just make it look good. If we play that again, we have to actually go into the editor or into the game mode and play it. That way it'll factor in this little cube there. And little chunks explode out and fall on the ground. Okay, so now we have a pretty well set up scene. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's see. I'll just save it as frac. Okay. So there we go. We have this all set up now for giving it materials. Where did that scene go? There it is. Okay. Find a good place to end the video, so I'd say about 180 frames is as many as you need. Also, you can start with the bullet way out here, but it really only comes into the picture at 4. So 4 frames isn't too many, but if the bullet's really far out there, you can pull the start over. It'll, here, let's move it back to 3. So now when it runs through, we can see that it will only jump back to 4 instead of 0 where the bullet's way out. Or 3 in this case, sorry. That way, if your bullet's way out here, you don't have to wait for it to render and have absolutely nothing happening in the scene. Okay. So that looks good. Looks fine. Let's go ahead and set this up for cycles. So change that to cycles. I'm going to split the screen. There we go. And go into camera mode and click on rendered. Okay, so now we can see we've got this little sad little Blender point lamp sitting in the scene. Go ahead and delete that, we don't need it. Create a plane kind of above the scene. This will be our main light. So new, call it light, and set it to emission. I'm gonna scale it along the x-axis. That looks like it might be enough light. I'm actually gonna go into side view here and rotate it that way. Just kind of bring it out. That way the front of this cube, the scene will be lit more than just the top. That should help. Can't really see the cube too well right now, but we will be fixing that. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this pedestal a texture, or not a texture, but a material. Whatever really works, it doesn't really matter, it's up to the artist. I mean, we could kind of go with a bunch of boxes, so if we wanted to do that, just a bunch of light colored squares and dark colored squares. I'll just do that quickly. Actually, there we go. Now this is just really fast, not really paying too much attention. I'm going to hide everything else, that way we can see this more easily. So, I'm not forgetting anything. So let's call this dark and give it a dark color. Okay. In the viewport, we'll make it darker too, and then we'll just make these ones kind of light colored. Doesn't really matter if we do the side ones because we don't really see them in the scene, but I'll do them anyway. Create a new one, light. We can really do pretty much anything with this. I'll assign that to those sections. Come back, there we go. And it looks more like a platform. I don't know. You can really create any shapes or any style that you want. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably do like a Tron, turn those light sections into emission and give it like reflectivity, that kind of stuff. It's not, that's for another tutorial. Okay, let's go ahead and give the floor a material now. So call it floor. I guess we could do it kind of like a ceramic tile, which it has kind of sharp reflections, but they aren't too it's not really reflective. It's kind of like specularity in a way. It shows light, I guess. So go into add shaders, give it a diffuse shader and a glossy shader. Maybe too much. We might go ahead and change this from add to mix. That should be fine. That should be fine. And yeah, let's leave that. Now let's go ahead and get into the material settings for this cube. For my final render, I also did kind of a ceramic-y color, I guess, or ceramic-y material. So ceramic, use nodes. I think I did a mix, diffuse, and a glossy. And just so that it doesn't blend into the background so much, I gave it a yellowish tint. So yellowy on both the glossy and the diffuse. Also change this from Beckman to sharp and turn the roughness down to 0.01. I also turned this down to 0.15 so that it's more the diffuse, but some of the reflection shows through, I guess. There we go. When this gets blown apart, it looks pretty good. Oh, what happened there? I think we got hit by a piece of cube. There we go. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Now from camera view, that's kind of the most important. This big block here is kind of blocking everything, but after, I think from that point forward we can see everything without too much issue. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Can't remember. I might have actually set this to an add there. Yeah, I think I did. Oh, got rid of one of the shaders. That could be an issue. Okay, diffuse and glossy. That's slightly yellow tinted. Bam. There we go. That's how it's supposed to look. And that's supposed to be a mix. 0.150. No, got rid of it again. Let's try that one more time. I don't know why it keeps doing that, but it's kind of annoying. Yeah, this material isn't really coming out how I wanted it to, but yeah, you can just play around with that, get it to look good. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Looks like we can put a little bit more light on here, or on the scene, without too much issue. So, side view, along with a Y, there we go. Back into rendered mode. A little bit more light. If it gets too much light, you can turn down the strength, or you can just pull this plane up and out. But plenty of light is a good thing. I think I actually want to change this light a little bit. Add shader, glossy, diffuse. Yeah, it's really up to the artist how the materials come out. So I think the materials are all looking pretty good. You can play around with them, get them how you like them. Let's see. My computer's being kind of slow right now. So oh, one more thing. Before we finish, let's give this projectile, or this bullet, a material. Kind of a brassy material. So, let's do an add, glossy, and diffuse. Now this is going to be pretty yellow. Also, use the, there we go. Get up close to it, that way we can see it a little bit better. The thing with metals is the glossy and the diffuse are usually pretty similar in color, so you can just use this eyedropper. Once you get a color that you like, just use the eyedropper for both and it'll come out looking pretty close to a metal. It's still kind of bright. Let's turn that down. It almost looks like the floor is putting out more light than the lamp. Probably a little bit too much reflection right there. I'm gonna turn this down. Oh. Why does it keep doing that? Okay, that's really getting annoying. Okay. Oh. That's something they need to fix. There we go. I didn't even know it was possible to have two things going into the same port. Okay. Anyway. Don't really like how this is going. Here, let me check up on some things and we can get back to materials a little bit later. That brass is looking pretty good, but I'll come back with the correct materials, or the materials that I used on my final. So, yeah. Okay, I'm back. Let's make this scene look good now. Okay, back to front, or the camera view. So let's start with this cube again. Ceramic, that's right. Let's change this to the diffuse and make it a little bit more yellowy. Actually, what I did was I did the RGB. That way it's a little bit easier just to see kind of where this is without having this window pop up. It doesn't matter. So let's add a little bit more yellow color to that. This is just plain white, so 0.8. 0.8. That's about Blender default. Actually, I think that is Blender default. Change this to a glossy and make it sharp. Now let's make sure this is all fine and dandy. Let's go back to the timeline, blow it apart here. Just want to see how this looks. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Also, if you want to see kind of which is which material, down here in the viewport, just change this color. Let's make it like that, I guess. Unlike the color wheels, over here it doesn't seem to have that big of an effect. So I don't know if it's just my monitor, but it looks kind of dim. Oh yeah, change that to 0, and this one is 0.01. Okay, that looks pretty good. A little bit more like ceramic. Wasn't too far off there. Then this one, the factor is 0.150 again, and just like the ceramic for here, go ahead and change this one to sharp and give it a roughness of 0.01. Okay. I think this is pretty well ready to go. One more thing. This one is kind of close. With the reflectivity here, you're going to actually see this plane a lot more than you want. So just pull this up. I think... Whoa. Okay. No. There we go. Gonna pull this a little bit closer and pull this in. A little bit smaller and turn this up to 2.5. Okay. Might actually give, not this one, might give this one a slightly blue tint, just so that we can get the colors here popping out a little bit more. Not sure why that's so dull looking. It's not very colory. I might just tint that a little bit, but it's really not showing up much. Anyway, yeah, so this isn't looking too shabby. We've got a nice texture on our bullet, or a nice material for our bullet. The floor looks pretty good. The ceramic on here, it could use a little bit of work. For the most part, it's pretty good. Go ahead into the integrator, do what you need to do here, and let it save. I turned this up to about 400 for my samples. That way it gets rid of some of this grain. And one last thing, I'm going to set this down to 25% for the purpose of this tutorial, but I came over here into the node editor, hit F5, can't really see anything, there we go, let it render, and then we can do a little bit of compositing, just to give it a little bit colder, I guess, like a materials test lab or something. Anyway, so what I did, I really only used the color wheels here, or the color balance, and pull, connect there, change this one from just white to kind of a yellowy color, so oops. Keep messing up there. Okay, there we go. This one's also kind of a yellowy color. Kind of tired today. There we go. And this one's going to be kind of yellowy, or not yellowy, blue. Ooh, missed a decimal point there. There we go. And there we go. And that will kind of, it'll bring out the yellows. Didn't really do a great job here, but these ones kind of bring out the yellows, and this one just gives it kind of an overall colder feeling, kind of like the materials test lab. Suppose we could turn these ones up a little bit, get a bit more warmth into the room. That one seemed to do a little bit more. I like that. Okay. Kind of offsets. Anyway, get it to how you like it. I'm interested in seeing what you guys have. I'll show you another one that I've done, because it's a little bit closer to being done rendering. So I'll bring that up after my pause. Okay, so after about 400 passes on each frame, it should look something like this. So you get your bullet coming in, it starts to shatter and leaves the scene. So looks like that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope your things turn out well. Sorry about seeming a little bit tired today. I've got calculus final coming up and I've been studying, but I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and thanks for watching. Bye.